All right, everybody. Unhappy Wednesday. Coming to you live once again from our humble abode. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family. Folks, if I sound weird, please let me know because I'm hearing it sounds bad in my earbuds. Almost like I'm echoing or something. Let me know. But anyways, yeah, we thank you for joining us tonight from wherever you may be and whatever device you're using to tune in on YouTube. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume if you need to. Use the company dime if you're stuck at work. Crack open a cold one if that's your thing on a Wednesday night, and I wouldn't blame you after the rough week we've had as Birds fans here. But we're going to try to put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation and look forward to tomorrow being Friday Eve. All right, who's in the room over here? Lou Mancini. Hey, people, who else out there loves and it's still daylight out there? Absolutely. One step closer to warm weather. Well, consistent warm weather. We all know what's going on now. It's just false spring, and it's going to come back and bite us in the ass in a little bit. Scott Calcaterra joining us. What's up, brother? Fanny, hey, all you cool kids. Keenan Harmon, who cares, Lou? It's still bedtime. Lou says a little choppy, but not too bad. And Keenan says Max Headroom thing going on, buddy. Yeah. Periodic Wi-Fi issues here. So not much I can do about it. We're just going to deal with it and power on through. Scott Calcaterra says he's ready for the sponsorship call out. I think that's not just my wife's favorite part. I think it's also Scott's favorite part too. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Let's see here. Where am I at? I'm trying to get right to it. Anyways, we are. Holy cow, we are woefully unprepared tonight, folks. Sorry. But we'll get it together. Don't you worry. Coming in hot. It's been a rough week, right? We've all experienced a lot of emotion these last couple of days with our with our beloved Birds. But let's get the business out of the way first and foremost. And as I said before, my wife's favorite part of the show, and apparently Scott's favorite part, is me calling that out. Everyone, we are proudly sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Just minutes away from the sports complex, Cheerleaders brings you the area's most beautiful women on 5 different stages. Open 7 days a week from noon until 2 a.m. and until 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For group information, call 215-467-1980 and reserve a private booth or party package. Also offering free parking, a full menu, daily drink and food specials, and a premium selection of cigars in a cigar lounge. If you're looking for a place to watch your favorite sporting event, you can't get out to the link, you can't get down to the bank, head on out to Cheerleaders and enjoy the 75-foot HD TV wall, as well as HD TV screens throughout the club. Once again, folks, that's Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party information. There's the favorite. And as always, folks, I know we're not streaming on Facebook or Twitter, X, whatever anymore. We are strictly on YouTube as far as the streaming goes. But we do still have our social media channels on all of those services. So please don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to us across every social media channel. We want to flood the interwebs with the Green Legion and with Green Legion Radio. Early bird deals are out. Okay, last Friday, as of last Friday, you are able to book early bird for any away game at greenlegion.com. It will always be scrolling at the bottom of the screen for as long as I am doing this show. Let's get right to it. We will go where are we at here? Maybe we'll get right to it. Green Legion. Ta-da. Let's read them off here. So, early bird specials are available. Road trips. We are calling this the 2020 Championship Tour. Championship Store. So, that is at Buffalo, at Dallas, at Green Bay, at Kansas City, at LA against the Chargers, that one is, at Minnesota, at the Swamp against the Giants, at Tampa Bay, and of course down to what I've been told is the worst place to watch a game in the league, Washington, D.C. Michelle says, not nice, Scott. Dave got it in the room. What's up, weirdos? You're in the right place, brother. Join the madness. But all of those I just read off there, you can go into greenlegion.com, click on which one you want to go to. I'll click on Buffalo right now. And at the bottom, you can, once you log in or whatever, you can put in your $200 per person early bird deposit. And the way this works is put in your deposit, that holds your place. Some of these trips sell out very, very fast once everything becomes available, shortly after the schedule release. If the schedule release comes out and you see, like, I'm on the Buffalo one right now. Let's say Michelle and I are going to go to Buffalo. Probably not, but let's just say, for example's sake, her and I are going to go to Buffalo. Put in my deposit, so it's $200 a piece, so $400. Schedule comes out early May. The game against Buffalo is, Christmas night, whatever the case may be. It's a date that doesn't work for us. Well, shit, not going to Buffalo. But I look over and Minnesota is on a weekend that we can do. So I'm going to contact Stephanie at that point and let her know, hey, Steph, sorry, can't do the Buffalo game. Please shift my early bird deposit over to the Minnesota game instead. And at that point, you keep your place in line, only now you're going to Minnesota instead of Buffalo. Also with that, your early bird deposit full refund is good up through May 31st, all right, or June 1st. But so if the schedule comes out early May and nothing works for you, right, or the price, or you see the pricing and you're like, holy shit, like you only had one game you wanted to go to, price is too high, whatever the case may be, all of a sudden you can't do it, contact at that point, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pull my deposit back at that point. As long as it's before June 1st, you still get your full refund back to you. All right? That's how that works. So for those of you who tune in from the Midwest Eagles Nest, if you've got any further questions on that, most of you have my number now. I know, Fanny, you've got my number. Scott, I know you've got my number. Anyone else watching now or later, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I can answer pretty much any question you've got. It'll save the Green Legion office a whole lot of time. And if I don't have the answer, I know where to get it for you. Okay, so just anybody out here in our group that's got Green Legion questions, please just direct them to me, and we'll go from there. All right, so that takes care of that. Very simple stuff, easy to do. Tough week, but we're not going to jump into that just yet. First thing we're going to do is I haven't awarded a boner of the week in a few. And so, yeah, Dave, that's just not going to happen. I have posted it in my Midwest Eagles Nest group, but I have no chance in hell put my number. And I know you're just kidding, but I absolutely no chance I put my number in this thing. Not here. And actually, I think Mancini's already got it. I don't know if Keenan does. But yeah, I mean, most of the people that come in the room actually have my number anyways. So no need for the bots that may jump in and try to poach to get that information. I got enough trouble as it is. Anyways, haven't done a boner of the week in a few. And, I went on my Facebook page a few days ago and ripped LeBron James to shreds. This is for multiple reasons. Not just LeBron James, though. because he's been enabled by the NBA to behave the way he does. But I do think he's part of the problem with the NBA now, today's NBA, and I think he's part of the reason why the ratings are the way they are, and they continue to trend in that direction. I know it sounds crazy. He's supposed to be one of the best players ever, and blah 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 blah. Who wouldn't want to see him? Well, his antics are a problem. Okay, the guy positioned his son, who couldn't even crack the USC Trojans roster. He positions. I think a kid was averaging 2 points a game, something like that. He gets him drafted in the second round of the NBA draft to the Lakers of all teams. And what happens? The kid's not ready for the NBA. He wasn't even ready to play college ball. Let me put it to you this way. His last year at USC was the second title run for the UConn Huskies. Okay? Had he been on the UConn team, he wouldn't have played at all. Okay? At all. Nothing. Or he would have been out there when we're up by 30, dribbling the ball out, along with the coach's kid. That's where Bronny would have been. Okay? Give you an idea of how far this kid has to go to really be an NBA level basketball player. I don't want to come on here and rip Bronny because he's a kid. And I don't think a lot of it, I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming LeBron for posturing, for the statements of, oh, Bronny's better than half the point guards in this league, or whatever the hell he said. And so what happens? The kid comes in the league and stinks as an NBA player. So what does the sports media do? Sports media is paid to give opinions, right? Most notably, Stephen A. Smith, paid to give his opinion, paid a disgusting amount of money to do so. He gives, he's out there ripping Bronny's game, goes to sit courtside at a Lakers game, and what does LeBron James do? Comes over, courtside, and gets in Stephen A. Smith's face about it for all the world to see, like a crybaby throwing a fit. Now, look, I'm not knocking the guy as a. It's not about defending your child at that point. You put your kid in that spot. You don't have the right to come out and act that way. But when you have a commissioner as weak as Adam Silver, who allows the players to just walk all over him and do whatever they want, this is some of the result. LeBron James, and then a couple nights later, he has another epic flop where he wasn't even touched. Tries to sell that he got blasted in the chin or whatever, throws himself on the floor, on the court. Of course, doesn't get the call because it's a joke. And now, after that, he's taken all this heat for the Stephen A. Smith stuff, whole bunch of heat for another epic, disgusting flop, and he conveniently has a groin injury that keeps him away for 2 weeks. Weak sauce. This can't be the face of your league. Not someone acting like that. I don't care how talented he is. And he is an all-time great talent. No question about it. But that guy can't be the face of your league. Not acting like that. It's a joke. So as talented as he is, as great of a basketball player as he has been, the GOAT, he will never be. Not even sniffing it. I don't care how many points he scores. Not a chance. He was never going to be the GOAT in my mind anyways, but shit like that just solidifies it even more for me. Sticking with the basketball, and once we're done with this part, we're going to get right into the Eagles. I promise. But sticking with the basketball right now, Angel Reese, WNBA player Angel Reese, came out and said that, something to the effect of, if they don't start getting paid like the men, that they may all just sit out. I hate to break it to you, darling. You don't have that kind of leverage. You just don't. You play. Let me be perfectly honest with everyone here. If you would like to see very fundamentally sound basketball, watch a WNBA game. Their fundamentals are as strong as are solid, right? It's great fundamental basketball. It is not an exciting sport. It's not an exciting league. And why is that? For the most part, big steal, fast break. What do you want to see? You want to see a big slam on the end of it. You want to see a 360. You want to see LeBron with the big windmill. That's his trademark, right? You wanted to see Air Jordan with the tongue hanging out. You wanted to see Shaq ripped on a backboard. Something along those lines. You don't get that with the NBA. Right? You get a layup. Right? Don't get me wrong. They're great athletes. They are. And again, fundamentally sound, got it. But they don't have that kind of leverage. I'm sorry for anyone that wants to support it, but the league loses $10 to $12 million every single year. That tab is picked up by the NBA. The WNBA is a male subsidized league. They don't turn a profit. There is one player right now that's drawing more fans than the league has ever seen. It's Caitlin Clark. And even that is starting to wear off. Right? Last year it was all the rage. You don't hear nearly as much about it now. And here's this Angel Reese with her big, stupid mouth. Once again, and I say big, stupid mouth because she talks a lot of shit for someone that's not all that good, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, Russ Taylor right here. Angel. Angel, I can't hit a shot, Reese. Go and sit out. We wouldn't care. The college women's game is better to watch. I agree. I totally agree. But you want to talk college? I think the men's college game is better than the men's NBA. So, but the women's, the WNBA, these girls, they are not in a position to sit out. If they sit out, look, I think Antonio Brown is a complete knucklehead. I don't think his brain ever recovered from the hit Vontaze Burfict put on him some years back. But in this situation, he's right. Nobody would care. Not enough people are going to give a shit. Bill Burr said it best. Whenever this conversation comes up, why aren't the WNBA players paid like the NBA players? And when you watch ESPN and stuff with all their woke nonsense, they have to actually sit there and make it a conversation. It's not. It's not a conversation. You don't turn a profit. You get a 20,000 seat arena. 1,500 people show up. It's not a good night. Right? You were given a league and none of you showed up. None of them. All of these ladies out there that are constantly screaming and pounding on the table about equality and the pay and why these women's athletes should be paid like male athletes are, where are you? Why aren't you at these games? These arenas should be sold out with how much shit I hear about this. Angel Reese, with her off the court stuff, is making a lot more money than a lot of the girls playing in that league. It's incredibly selfish for her to come out and say, well, we'll just sit out if we're not going to get paid like the men. These girls can't afford that. Most of them can't afford to do that. Caitlin Clark makes $76,000 a year in NBA. Now, she's got endorsements, obviously, but her NBA contract, I think, is $76,500 a year. For a lot of us, that's nothing to shake a stick at, but and Caitlin Clark is the most watched player in that league. Think about the girl who is barely hanging on to a roster spot. What's she making? 35 grand? 40 grand? I got logistics coordinators that make more than that. Sorry. Boner of the week, LeBron James once again, throwing Adam Silver for that, and Angel Reese. This gets worse and worse as we continue the conversation. All right. I'm going to get off my soapbox about all that now. Let's hop over here. I know Russ has been going off over here. Russ Taylor, LeBron will go down as one of the best players ever. Kobe never came out a reporter or coach for his kids. Exactly. Lou Mancini, Steph is a better ambassador. I totally agree. Russ again, LeBron is too old to be the face of the league, but no one has stepped up to be the face of the league. I disagree. I just don't know how marketable these dudes really are. I think Steph totally, he's proven to be very marketable. The other problem is a lot of your big stars, they don't play. They're all fucking, load management crap. Guys taking time off. And then you do have some like in Nikola Jokic that just doesn't want to be bothered with all this shit, right? I think Luka is another guy that could step into a role like that. Giannis, Tatum, there's guys. LeBron ain't it. What else do we got here? Russ Taylor, the fact that the women have a 3-on-3 league to supplement their income. Thank you very much. Keenan, I'd pay to see Angel and her girls whoop up on the Sixers. Oh, man, that's brutal. Russ Taylor, I know there are different eras of women's hoops and the older women, and like we had to go overseas to make money. Look at Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner did not have to go overseas to make that money. She chose to go over there and make that money. She was making plenty here. She chose to go over there and make that money. Her contract here was 6 figures. She wanted more. So, and then can't fly with hats, dude. Like, don't do things like that. Russ again, idea. You want people to watch the NBA? Have them start showing up in bikinis like beach volleyball. Dude, careful what you wish for. Have you seen some of these ladies? Like, not to be too offensive here, but there's a lot of them I'd rather not see in bikinis, bro. Like, I'm good. All right. We're going to move on away from all of that now and get into why we're really here tonight. It's been a tough week, guys. I've seen a lot of posts. I've seen a lot of people freaking out. I've also seen a lot of people taking it in stride. My Mike here, my partner with the Midwest Eagles Nest, he's just kind of rolling with it. I think he's too complacent for my liking. I don't think a fan base should ever stay complacent and just be. But I think you always need to let the organizations hear you. And I think everywhere up and down the Northeast does a great job of that, in particular Philadelphia. But it's certainly better. Mike's approach to it is certainly better than some of these people that are just completely spazzing out. Look, guys, we won the Super Bowl, okay? We beat the Chiefs. We beat the brakes off the Chiefs. All right, in that game. It was glorious. The parade was excellent. Everything has been awesome. And now free agency comes. We'd already lost our offensive coordinator again, right? Now free agency comes, and it's time for some tough decisions. So right away, you see Bond get inked to a huge deal, and Saquon gets an extension. Now, Slay and Bradbury were shown the door, which saved $6.5 million of cap space. Then came the Barkley contract, which actually saved us $6.5 million against the cap by giving him that extension. Then came the Bond deal, a huge deal, but earned, right? I mean, the two guys that got contracts right away, Saquon's extension and Bond's big deal. Those two guys, you could easily make the argument that those two dudes were the MVPs of this team throughout the 2024 football season. Saquon on the offensive side and Bond on the defensive side. Taking nothing away from Jalen Carter, taking nothing away from Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley ran for 2,045 yards. It was the 8th most rushing yards in a single season ever. He broke the record for most yards in a season overall when you include playoffs. And Zach Bond was a Defensive Player of the Year runner-up, finalist. That I honestly, stat line wise, could easily make the argument he should have won that award. So those two guys earned it, and it's part of the evolution of Howie, right? Forever, you've seen him behave, and you've heard Quimby and I talk that they just don't invest in running backs and linebackers. They just don't. It just wasn't positions that they did that with. Well, cap expands. A lot of our guys are locked up. Let's go ahead and reward the guys that they helped carry this team to a Super Bowl victory. So now you move past that. And we talked, Roger, our good friend Roger, came on a few weeks back, and we talked about priority lists for our own free agents. You guys all know where I stood. Becton, Milton Williams, right? I had written off Sweat. I just didn't think there was any chance we were bringing him back. Bond was, of course, on that list. And I also favored Isaiah Rodgers. Now let's, for the most part, Roger was kind of in line with that. The brief bit of show we did get to do at Xfinity before the parade, we were all kind of in that area, trenches. If we were going to retain our free agents, trenches was the way we wanted to look at first. And it's just been successful. It's the way we've built, and it's the way we've won, is by building from the trenches outward. And I support that. Of course, it's also easier to agree with that when you have a mountain of a human being like Trey Thomas sitting right down the row from you. Who, by the way, that was my first time meeting him. He is as advertised. He is absolutely awesome. Trey Thomas was great. Quimby had told me ahead of time that he was really a good dude, and he wasn't lying. Trey Thomas was awesome. But so then all the tampering period and all this shit starts going on, and right away it becomes obvious that we are getting poached, and that we're just not matching these deals. We didn't have the space to, guys. You think about Million Williams got $104 million. Okay? That's a lot, dude. All right. I'm going to, we're going to break some of this down here, and I'm going to try to help set some minds at ease and help you understand why we're able to do this and why some of this was necessary. All right. So here's the Eagles this year, Super Bowl champions, yada, yada, yada. We want to get to something. Where is my snap counts? Where is it? Damn it. It's usually in here. But, the only defensive tackle that really didn't really come off the field much was Jalen Carter. Everyone else was in a rotation. Now, early on, a lot of that rotation was held by Jordan Davis first few weeks of the year, till it became pretty obvious to Fangio and that we all saw too that Jordan Davis isn't conditioning himself very well. All right, and this is why, in the pecking order of our free agents, Milton Williams would have been number 2 for me, behind Becton. I believe, and I was on this early with Jordan Davis. You guys that are loyalists of this show, you guys know it. I've been looking at Jordan Davis as a possible bust for quite some time now. And so as his snap counts came down, let's get it here. When you look at defensive tackle, so as his snap counts came down, Milton Williams was out playing him, likely at practice as well. And so at the end of the year, the defensive snap percentage, Jalen Carter was just about 80% of the defensive snaps. Okay, makes sense. He's your stud. The next most by a defensive tackle is Milton Williams at nearly 48%. All right. And then it drops off to 37% for both Jordan Davis and Ajomo. So it's an 11% drop over the course of a season from Milton Williams to Jordan Davis. So while I understand people saying, Milton Williams was just a rotational guy, he was eating up a lot of that rotation and had performed incredibly well. Yes, it is easier to perform well when you have a generational talent like Jalen Carter next to you. But he still did do his job, and he works hard, and you can move him out to defensive end in a pinch. Not frequently, but you can do it. Problem is, and as much as I love Milton Williams, you guys all know that, this dude, the New England Patriots had a ton of money to spend. But good Lord, $104 million over 4 years. There's no way. I would tell you, even if we had the cap space, that was not a good contract to match. For the fact that he may very well be better suited in a little bit deeper of a rotation. Now he's going to be asked to be that guy. I'm not saying he can't do it. And as much as I hate the Patriots, I do want to see Milton Williams do well. But that is a shit ton of money. We were not going to match that, even with the cap space. So Williams is gone. Yeah. Josh Sweat, no surprise. All right, this was. I mean, if anyone was shocked by this, one of the things, as great as that Super Bowl was, I'm going to drop this here real quick. As great as that Super Bowl was, we were facing Josh Sweat and Milton Williams as free agents this offseason. Those two ended up having the most impactful night on the defensive line. Along with Carter, obviously, but Williams had this fumble. Sweat had been half sacks. Financially, it couldn't have worked out worse for the Eagles. Couldn't have worked out better for those two guys, but it couldn't have worked out worse for us. And, Sweat, 4 years, $76 million to Arizona. We were not going to match that contract. It was not going to happen. So Sweat and Williams are gone. Williams a little bit more bummed out about, but that contract that he got offered from New England blew everyone out of the water. There was rumors about Carolina earlier in the day on Monday, but ultimately the Patriots just overwhelm him. I think it's $26 million a year, which I think makes him the fourth highest defensive tackle in the league. And he may have been in a deeper rotation than any of those other guys. So good luck. God bless. So we're already down the list here, right? Becton is still limbo. Williams is gone. Sweat's gone. We re-signed Bun. Isaiah Rodgers. This one bummed me out a little bit. When Slay was let go, I mean, Bradbury's whatever, but when Slay was let go, I'm like, and I was expecting Slay to be let go. So, let me page on responsive. Get out of here. Rodgers. I expected Slay to be let go, and I was hopeful that Rodgers would be the next man up. That didn't happen either. Right? Like, spot rack's not working well for me. See if I can get this up here, guys. Right. He went years like for something, a big contract. A little surprised me that there wasn't at least an effort there. But anyways, you kind of getting the point here, right? It just became obvious that we weren't going to do any of these things. Slay it, cut. Bradbury, cut. Williams, huge deal, gone. Sweat, huge deal, gone. Bond is re-signed. Rodgers, gone. Gainwell is now in Pittsburgh. What are you left with? Well, guys, there's a means to an end with this stuff. When you've been as successful in the draft as Howie and our boys have been over these last few years, and I'm going to give you some numbers here. Here, you know what? Let's get this up here now, because I promised you guys it would be there if you wanted to jump in. There's that. There's the link to come on in if you want to. So when you are this successful with your draft picks, especially in a short period of time, the bill comes due, and you can't sign all of them. There's just no way. So, and what I mean by that is 2021, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams. Devontae Smith is retained on a good-sized deal. Landon Dickerson's got a huge contract. Milton Williams just signed a 4-year, $104 million contract with the Patriots. But because you get compensated for losing your free agents. So Milton Williams was a third-round pick in 2021. We are getting, because of the compensation, we are getting a third-round pick for losing him. We'll have that next year. 2022, Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean. So Davis, you know, I've talked about him a lot. He's on the bus line, but we'll see. Jurgens, stop. And he's going to come due for contract next year. Nakobe Dean, hurt late, but had a really, really nice year playing next to Bond in Fangio's system. I don't really care. He played a great game. He had a nice season. That big interception against Jacksonville to seal it, that was awesome. 2023, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen. Carter is, look, so this will be his third season coming up. He's going to want the bag at the end of the year. The Eagles are going to give it to him. And he is rapidly becoming one of the most dominant defensive players in the league. You have to double team him or your host. Nolan Smith, who everyone told me I was crazy when I said we drafted him to replace Hassan Reddick. Anyone want to keep arguing now? Tyler Steen, third round in 2023. Haven't seen enough of him to really make a judgment. But, when we brought in Becton, the thought was Becton was coming in to back up Tyler Steen in that right guard spot. So, and then 2024, Quinion Mitchell, stud. Cooper DeJean, stud. Jalix Hunt. Jalix Hunt, guys, drafted to replace Josh Sweat the same way that Nolan Smith was drafted to replace Hassan Reddick. Okay, this is 4 years of picks in the top 3 rounds. And what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 12 picks. And I can make an argument that 10 to 11 of them are stud level. The bill comes due and you can't pay them all. It's crazy. So the only way to keep this window, now you've inked your offense. Jalen Hurts is signed. A.J. Brown is signed. Devontae Smith is signed. Saquon Barkley is signed. Landon Dickerson, signed. Mailata, signed. Lane Johnson, inked. Losing all these guys to free agency stinks. But if you recall last year, even after we made these picks in the draft, Howie was wheeling and dealing to gain more picks for this year. And why was that, folks? Anybody want to take a guess? Because we weren't losing any free agents last year. So the only way to increase his draft capital for this year was to wheel and deal last year to increase that. And he did it. Then he also traded Kenny Pickett to Cleveland for Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Cleveland's 5th-round pick this year. That's Howie being Howie, guys. Okay? When you add in the compensatory picks that we are going to get. So look at this year. We pick one time each in the first, second, third. This is right now. This is before any other trades or what else may happen. As of right now, We have 1 pick each in the first, second, third, and fourth round, and 4 picks in the fifth round this year. Next season, next draft, 2026, as it stands right now, we pick once in the first, once in the second, 3 times in the third, right? Yeah. 3 times in the fourth, once in the fifth, twice in the sixth, and once in the seventh. That's 12 picks. That is 20 picks in the next 2 NFL drafts. 20. And what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of them are in the first 4 rounds of the next 2 drafts. And I just read off to you how successful we've been with drafting players. And look at all the draft capital. Okay? So I understand trading C.J. Gardner-Johnson rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But take a look at the cap space saved. Not this year, but 2026 and 2027. Does anybody know who we're going to have to take care of at the end of the, come a year from now? Jalen Carter is going to want the bag, and they're going to give it to him. Cam Jurgens is going to be up. Nakobe Dean is going to be up. Reed Blankenship is going to be up. Grant Calcaterra is going to be up. And there's a lot of talk that Goddard may get dealt for a 4th-round pick this year. It's a deep draft for tight ends, but Calcaterra's proven himself to be a damn good pass-catching tight end for this Philadelphia Eagles team. That's for you, Scott. Where do you think all that money's going to come from? You think we can go and afford to sign Milton Williams, sign Josh Sweat, sign Isaiah Rodgers, keep C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and be able to pay? So what is your choice? Would you rather have figured out a way to pay Milton Williams this year or pay Jalen Carter next year? Because that's what it comes down to, right? That's really what it breaks down to be. It is what it is. This is a business, and Howie's great at it. And so, for those of you that don't understand the why, I am going to read to you. I found a great article, and I'm going to read a bunch of it to you here. Let me see where we're at. I got so many bookmarks here. It's ridiculous. What the hell? No, that's history. I don't want that. We need bookmarks. Bookmarks. There we go. Mobile bookmarks. All right. Why Howie Roseman believes a painful offseason was essential for the Eagles. Scott Calcaterra. Let's see. Thank you, but I'm not sure he's ready for the starter role. Dallas is one of the best in the league. Still 1 more year in the contract. 1 more year, but it's high price. He's injury prone. He's 30 years old, and we're already 2 years past where Ertz was when we drafted Goddard. If someone will give us a 4th-round pick, I think he's going to get traded. And you may see a tight end by committee type of thing. I like Calcaterra. I do know it's a deep draft for tight ends. So we'll see. Lou Mancini.
What's up, brother?
What's happening, bud? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Like I said, it's nice to see it's still daylight out and all that. But yeah. I want to point out that like my Facebook feed has been filled with nothing but panic over all these moves, and like you said, it's definitely a bummer. But unless you're as old as me, now, granted, I'm not as old as Keenan, but we remember a time before free agency. I don't know if you do, Adam. I mean, you're not that much younger, but still, I mean, I think with the NFL, Reggie White was the first one that kind of created that.
I remember a time before a salary cap when owners that had the most when the owners that had the most money could control it all. The 49ers in the 80s, Dallas in the early 90s. That I remember. Exactly.
And a lot of these posts, I think these people that never really even saw it are expecting that, and it's not going to happen. Like you said, we got to pay Carter in the future. We got to pay Jurgens. so forth and so on. But I just want to point out that I believe that Sidney Brown is going to step up this year. He's a guy I worry about as far as personal fouls. You know, he plays with a lot of edge, man.
Yeah, he does, but so does Gardner Johnson.
Exactly. But I believe he's going to step up. I believe Ajomo is the dark horse here. I think he is going to step up too. I mean, I could be wrong.
Same snap percentage as Jordan Davis last year, so a little bit deeper on the rotation, but he gets his shot to step up next to Carter next year.
And
Davis.
And then Jalen Hunt, he really came on towards the end of the season, and I believe he's going to help with the loss of Sweat.
Well, that was why he was drafted. That's why we picked him. It's the same reason why we drafted Nolan Smith to replace Hassan Reddick. This is the part that people don't understand. You love having A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, and that monster offensive line. There's a price to pay for that. You can't keep everyone on defense, too. This isn't – so a lot of those posts you're seeing, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Why are we letting everybody – these are people that turn on that fucking Madden video game and turn the salary cap off. That's what happens, right? They don't get it, right? Howie now has 20 draft picks between this year's draft and next year's draft to restock the farm. And he's got but come next year, he'll have $100 and some odd million in cap space to sign Carter, Juergens, Dean, all that. Yeah, people need to stop. It's too much.
That's a beautiful thing. What he's stockpiling there, that's for sure.
Well, here's the other point. Yes, we lost a lot of good players. Yes, we lost a lot of talent. We also still have a shit ton of talent. Quinion Mitchell is an amazing corner. Cooper DeJean is a fantastic hybrid corner, right? We're going to get to see what Keely Ringo can do on the outside next year, and Eli Ricks. Those two are going to battle it out for the CB2 spot. You're going to see Sidney Brown back in the secondary next to Blankenship and see what he's all about. These guys were drafted because they had talent. It's not because they stink, right? This isn't bottom of the barrel shit. It's time to see what they're all about, because the only way you're able to keep that championship window open is to keep turning it over and saving money by having rookie contracts. That's the only way it works. That's it. Unless you're the fucking Chiefs.
I was a little bummed about Rodgers, like you said. I can't remember where he went and how much they gave him. Do you know that?
Minnesota, and I believe it was 2 years, $14 million total. I want to say it was, so it wasn't a huge contract. I was a little surprised we didn't match it, but then you saw we've only got like between $17 and $18 million of cap space. We still have draft picks to take care of, and you want to have something in the bank in case of an injury or all of a sudden there's a glaring weakness you have to go get addressed. Kind of like 2022 when our run defense was struggling halfway through the year, and we brought in Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh to play defensive tackle and shore up that run defense, that sort of thing. You got to have some money there to do that. And if you go spend it all, then you're fucked if somebody gets hurt.
I just want to add, this is my back porch saloon. If you look behind me, you can see I'm on my back porch, and
nice.
It's the Northeast Eagle's nest, I guess you could say.
There you go. Well, it's just Philly, baby. Like, you don't need an Eagle's nest. You live in the damn nest, right? We had to create our own out here.
we watched the games at my buddy's house. We used to, before the pandemic, hang out in his basement. He got a nice TV room / den type area. And once the pandemic hit, we started hanging outside, social distancing, all that crap. And then we just ran with it. And now we garage drink in his house every week. It's nothing but laughs.
Russ brings up a good point. If they're 5 years since the world shut down, wow, it's been 5 years since all that nonsense. Man. Russ also asked.
Look, I just wanted to pop on real quick and make some comments.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in, brother.
wish you a great weekend, and tomorrow's Friday Eve, and I'll smell you later, right?
All right, brother. You enjoy that weather out there on your back porch.
Awesome. Take care.
You too, buddy. Lou Mancini dropping in to say hi and drop some comments on how he feels about the freaking out from our fellow fans. Russ Taylor also had it. Were you able to get a copy of the Philadelphia Inquirer Daily News? No, I was not. Although I have seen ones where it's framed, like in glass or whatever, and I don't know what that costs, but I may want to get my hands on that at some point. We'll see. But guys, that's kind of the point. Let me get to this article real quick before we close out the night here, and then I'm gonna shut it down. But this is why Howie Roseman believes a painful offseason was essential for the Eagles, right? And it's something we've talked about on here. Well, after the first Super Bowl victory back in 2017, we were too loyal to some of the veterans on that team, right? And this article goes into that detail. The 2017 Eagles were the 8th oldest team in football, and by 2018, were the 3rd oldest. And the decline was on. 2018 team did steal a wild card win in Chicago, but the 2018 and 2019 teams both went 9-7, and the bottom fell out in 2020 with a 4-11-1 disaster that cost Doug Peterson his job. The 3 years immediately after that Super Bowl win, with an aging roster and a GM who admittedly made decisions for the wrong reasons, the Eagles went 22-25-1. Overall, 20th best record in the NFL over that 3-year span. It wasn't until Roseman began replenishing the roster with young players and Nick Sirianni was hired and Jalen Hurts took over as the starting quarterback that the Birds became competitive again. And Roseman told himself, if the Eagles ever win another Super Bowl, I'm not going to let emotions get in the way of smart roster moves. It's got to be hard building a championship roster with homegrown players and then essentially dismantling it, but Roseman learned you can't run it back. It just doesn't work. And he's convinced that you can't sustain success without constantly infusing the roster with young players. That means you have to keep drafting well, 20 picks over the next 2 years. And that means you have to have a lot of starters on rookie contracts. And that means you can pay market value to keep your superstars. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the offensive line, Zach Bond now, Mitchell and DeJohn a few years down the road will fit that mold. That's the formula. That's the plan, and it works. Roseman's plan for this offseason was a simple one. Stock up on draft picks. Don't even try to sign any free agents. Get younger, trust the kids, put the compensatory pick formula to work. It was partially necessitated by the Eagles' less than ideal cap situation, but also by Roseman's understanding that the only way to remain competitive is to make painful decisions when it comes to roster construction. So while it hurts to see all these players leave, Roseman believes it had to happen if the Eagles are going to continue to compete for titles. So this offseason has been about getting younger and letting guys like Keely Ringo, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Jalix Hunt, Sidney Brown, Tyler Steen, and Moro Ojomo compete for more prominent roles while they're on cheap rookie deals. For this approach to work, you have to draft well. And 17 of the 18 players Roseman has drafted in the first 4 rounds since 2021 have developed into important pieces. With 2021 fourth rounder Zach McPherson the only exception, though he did play a lot as a rookie. There's certainly a risk factor involved. Nobody knows if Sidney Brown can replace Gardner Johnson or if Jeremiah Trotter Jr. can replace Oren Burks until Nakobe Dean is ready, or if Keely Ringo can replace Darius Slay, and so on. But Roseman believes this is the best chance of staying on this run that's seen them go 39-12 with 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 victory, over the last 3 years. While other teams are overpaying for fading veterans, Howie is trusting the young guys and piling up draft picks with an eye to the future. Milton Williams will bring back a 3rd rounder. Josh Sweat, a 4th rounder. The Kenny Pickett trade got the Eagles a 5th rounder in this year's draft, and Isaiah Rodgers should be worth a 6th round pick. And the CJGJ trade turned a 6th rounder into a 5th. So as for now, the Eagles have picks in the first, second, third, fourth rounds, and 4 in the fifth in this year's draft. Single picks in the first and second round in 2026, plus 3 third rounders, 2 fourth rounders, 2 fifth round selections, and 1 pick each in the sixth and seventh rounds next year. That's 19. Well, then we know now that's up. And that's what Roseman wanted. Assets that will turn into more young, talented players and keep the Eagles competitive year after year. If Roseman and scouting staff keep nailing draft picks, and they have for the last 4 years, those picks will help the Eagles a heck of a lot more than 32-year-old Devontae Adams, 31-year-old Grady Jarrett, 34-year-old Morgan Moses, blah, 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 blah. As of now, according to SpotRap, the Eagles have the second youngest roster in the NFL. And that still counts 34-year-old Darius Slay and 32-year-old James Bradbury, because they were released with June 1st designations and are still technically on the roster. It won't be surprising if the Eagles have the youngest roster in the NFL by June 2nd. The only projected starters who will be in their 30s on opening day are Lane Johnson, the best right tackle in football, and Dallas Goedert, who turned 30 in January and might not even be there. The oldest projected defensive starter is Zach Bond, who just turned 28. It's no fun seeing guys leave in droves just a few weeks after a historic Super Bowl win in New Orleans and joyous parade up Broad Street. But how he got Bond signed, he extended Saquon, he piled up the draft picks, he cleared money to eventually extend Carter, Blankenship, and Juergens. Hasn't been an easy offseason to watch, but it's an offseason Roseman knows had to happen, and I can't think of a single reason not to trust him. In Howie we trust, it's still Howie season. It's just an eye on the future rather than what we can do right this second. That's the point, folks. You can't just look 5 feet in front of you. Howie's always, and this is why we always say he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, because he's constantly looking out, right? Last year, when he was wheeling and dealing to get more picks for this year, was because he knew he wasn't going to get compensatory picks because he wasn't losing anybody. This year, knows he's losing a whole bunch of guys, so he's letting the free agent sign next year and take advantage of the draft this year and next year. The guy's always ahead of it. Always. Keenan, to answer your question, we already have the offensive coordinator. His name is Kevin Patullo. I will post his. Where the hell is it? Nope, don't want that. Kevin Patullo. Wikipedia. There we go. Let me get his. I'm going to post this in the chat so you can click on this and you can see his coaching career, where he got his starts and all of that shit. He's actually been on the staff the whole time, so we'll see what he's all about. Let's get one more shot up here. Scott Calcaterra says, always enjoy, Lou. Russ Taylor, I might be. Oh, are you talking about the Inquirer and Daily News? Yeah, that framed thing was pretty cool. I'd be interested to know how much that costs. So not right. It doesn't have to be right now. I'm actually headed to Nashville this weekend. Michelle's birthday is St. Patrick's Day, and it's a big birthday for her. I'm not going to divulge the age on the while we're streaming here, because I don't want to have a knife come through this thing here and get embedded in my skull. But for her birthday, we're going to Nashville. That's the deal. And then in 2 weeks, I head to Seattle for the baseball trip, which Grady's decided to sit out this year, but I understand why. Russ Taylor, Howie is taking a page out of the Boston Celtics. Red Auerbach said he was loyal to Bird, Parrish, and McHale, said he should have traded them for value before he couldn't. Right, the evolution of Howie, right? He learned his lesson after the first Super Bowl win, and now he's acting on it, and I love it. Took care of that. Gracias, amigo. No problem, bud. Scott, Adam, make sure you have fun in Nashville this weekend celebrating Michelle's birthday. Absolutely. Thank you, Scott. We will have a good time. We lived down there for a few years. We had vacation down there for some years previous to that. So we've got a number of friends down there that we're going to go see. Unfortunately, some of them are not in town. They're musicians, and especially since COVID, a lot of them hit the road and found out that they could go make money, not just having to play downtown Nashville. So, unfortunately, a bunch of them are not in town when we're going to be there, but a few of them are. So, we're going to have a good time there. Thank you for that, Scott. Keenan Harmon says, happy 29th, dear. Forever. Thank you, she says. All right. Yeah, so that was kind of the point of the show tonight, guys. Wanted to try to set your mind at ease as best I could and just show you that there's a means to an end here. And that while we have lost a lot of talent, we've also still got a lot of talent. The offense is all intact. The defense got poached, but Ojimo steps up into that role. And he had an 18% pass rush win rate last year, which was first or second in football for a defensive tackle. It's time to see what these guys are all about. And, the guys that are stepping into these roles now are going to be surrounded by guys that have already been in theirs. Right? Bond comes back for a second season. Carter's still there. Jalen Hunt, Nolan Smith, they're there, and we're going to draft depth at these positions. So the big names signed big contracts elsewhere. They're gone. The younger guys step up into these roles, and you draft the depth behind them. So there you go. That's the model, and I believe in it. So in Howie we trust, as always. All right? Hopefully that makes you feel a little better. I know this week has been tough. Don't sweat the small shit. All right? We're going to figure it out. We're going to be a good football team this coming season. I can't tell you how far we're going to go. We're going to see exactly how the roster shakes out first. But we got plenty of time for that. Baseball is on the horizon, folks. We're 2 weeks away from opening day. There is likely going to be a new podcast coming, one featuring 3 of us. And I'll let you sit and think about who those 3 gentlemen might be. Well, 2 gentlemen and me. So I'll let you sit and fester about who that might be. We're trying to figure out how to get that rolling. I actually need to text those guys tonight and see what we need to do to really push it, because I think we could have a lot of fun. And Lou Mancini, nail on the head, brother. Chris, Lou, and myself. But we'll have more info on that as we get closer to actually launching it. Something we would like to do, maybe every other week during the baseball season. So that's some time, but want to get it rolling. All right, folks, that's going to wrap things up here. So as always, thank you all for coming on in the room here, listening to me ramble on. I hope I was able to set your mind at ease a little bit if you were panicking. Show you that there's at least one other person out there that's not panicking. If you're one of the people like me that's not. Was I pissed about a lot of it? Yeah, the Gardner-Johnson trade stinks. Twofold, because of what we got back with the offensive guard. It made it feel like Becton wasn't coming back either. And that's upsetting, but ultimately in how we would trust. Keenan, oh my God. I'll watch as long as there's no Diaz. No, we're not. It's not an NBA show, right? Nobody wants to sit here and listen to Joel Embiid apologists and boob apologists. So, anyways, folks, that's going to do it for us here tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Come on back again next week. I'll talk about our trip to Nashville, and hopefully we'll be looking more towards the draft. Time to start talking baseball, NCAA tournament, and the NFL draft will be on the horizon. Midwest Eagles Nest. Don't forget, any of you that are in here now or listen later, March 22nd, 4 p.m., Back Porch Saloon for our tournament get-together. I've also posted the link to our bracket challenge a couple different times. Green Legion audience, if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I can send you the link. It's $20 per bracket entry. You can enter as many as 5 brackets, $20 a piece, and I can take Venmo for it if you wish. It's open to anyone. Until next week, folks, enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy Friday Eve. Let's try to get through the rest of this week's hostage situation unscathed. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Remember, the judge is not back in until Monday. And as always, go Birds. All right, kids, that is going to do it. You guys take care. We love you.